Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. So let's talk about the bad news. The decommitment of Quinn Ewers, 2022, one of the best high school players in the country, best high school player in the 2022 class, best quarterback in the country, regardless of class, and that includes Arch Manning, who ESPN loves so very much. Um, yeah, I'm salty. This sucks. I had my phone off for a little bit. I was watching a movie with my wife, just trying to, you know, live, turn the phone on, whole world's blowing up, Texas social media meltdown, everything, right? And so let's talk about it. That's why we're here. That's why we have this channel. That's why we have this platform. And while you're here, please throw us a like, show some love. This is my instant reaction, just trying to digest everything. As they said in I think it was next Friday, how do you get fired on your day off? How do we take an L and we didn't even play? But Tom Herman, is this the kiss of death for him at this point? If not, if whatever thing you want to name that's happened previously here. But we're going to get into some big picture stuff because we talked about culture here a few weeks ago on this channel, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about in relationship to the decommitment of Quinn Ewers is a lot of that will echo some of those points, but just getting a little bit more granular with why. Why is this happening? Why do we continuously feel like we keep hitting rock bottom and then it's like, oh, nope, we can go lower. And just the overall frustration in this entire program, everything, all of us included that are fans here. But there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors because right now, a lot of folks feel like, some people want to be right, and that's fine. But when you want to be right about a point or a narrative you're driving, I feel like you start to remove the proper nuance or the proper context that needs to be there. So if you hate the coaching staff and you've been out on the coaches, feel like a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm going to put 100% of the blame or 100% of the responsibility at the feet of the coaching staff. Or if you've been upset with the school or the administration, you're going to put all your blame there. Or if you think it's about how toxic social media has been and how toxic the message boards have been, or being disrespectful, I'm going to put all the blame there, and that's why we're getting the result. When in reality, like I said before, it's nuanced, right? Now, in my opinion, there are things where you weight blame, right? I think a heavy portion of that blame does go to the coaching staff, but that doesn't mean that fans are exempt in that our behavior on social media and our behavior towards players and coaches had no impact. No, there's a percentage there as well. May or may not have played into the Quinn Ewers decision. Now, if you do read his post, for those of you who want to understand everything involved, it is interesting to hear somebody who is a junior in high school mention coaches and administration at the University of Texas. I thought that was interesting to take away from that in terms of how you describe what their frustrations they've been going through. Very interesting that he put that in his note when he's basically saying he's going to reopen his recruitment. So how do we diagnose this, right? I'm going to start here. Some of you are parents, some of you aren't, but we have to look at things from a multidimensional aspect. What do I mean by that? I wear a Texas hat. I'm also a husband. I'm also, a professional in the workplace. There's different angles I look at things when trying to dissect problem and solutions. And when I'm looking at this, Texas fan, I'm salty. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm like, we just lost one of the best recruits we've ever had commit to Texas. This is devastating for the program. The optics aren't good. What are we going to do? We're playing Oklahoma State this week. This came on the heels of a win. We won this week. We thought things at least would be quiet for a little bit. We just got off the eyes of Texas stuff. Now we're here with Quinn Ewers. Like, that's my Texas side. But even though I'm not a parent, I will say how I'm asking, this is a question I have. How would you advise your child in this situation? Because we know how Blake Brockermeyer answered that question. And is anybody more loyal or a bigger fan of Texas or understands the benefits of Texas than somebody like a Blake Brockermeyer, who's a legend and a 10-year NFL veteran, and somebody whose wife went to the University of Texas? Their oldest son is currently on the team. And they still said, because here's the thing, guys, when you have a child, and when I'm talking about your child, I'm not talking about if your child is a fringe D1 prospect that's getting a few offers and starting to feel good, or if your child is a rising 3-star or 4-star. I'm talking about if your kid is in the top 10. I'm talking about the creme de la creme, the high 4 stars, the 5-star kids, because every 5-star, you have like, 25 kids maybe that are 5 stars. I know that number fluctuates, but just no different than the NFL draft every year, where even though you have 32 first-round picks, you may have one year 22 kids that actually have a first-round grade. You may have another year where 28 kids have a first-round grade. So fluctuates. But follow me. When we're talking about the 5-star creme de la creme people, you have to make your decisions differently. No different than if your child is a music prodigy, if your child is, has the potential to go to Harvard to one day be a doctor or a lawyer, has that type of capability or potential. We now have to remove certain emotions, because now we're in a place of making a business decision, understanding the future financial ramifications with that child, he or she's gift, and what they can bring to the world and bring to the table for the family, what have you. And also making sure that they maximize their potential. And those are things we talked about in the culture video. Those are things that Texas has been struggling with, period. Because I'm going to get to what we're good at selling. But when we look at what happened with Tommy Brockermeyer, what happened with James Brockermeyer, it's very simple from a standpoint of, hey, we love Texas, but you guys I don't trust you to develop my kid the way I trust in Alabama. And there's too much drama over here. Whatever it is, it's toxic. It's too much drama. Do I want to send my child and put them into that drama? Because I've seen a lot of you who love Texas as well and say, well, if you love the program, you should be willing to, you want to compete, you should be willing to come here and help turn things around. But we've been selling that message for 10 years. Hey, come here and bring us back to life and hopefully bring us back to glory. But it's all about what the kid should give to Texas. That's that message when you say that. Hey, come here and help us. Come here, Sam Ehlinger, and save us. Because Quinn Ewers watches the games. And he's seen what's happened with Sam Ehlinger, seen what's happened to the saviors that have come before him and failed. But it's all, at the end of the day, that message is about what is the kid going to give to the school. But you know, when Ohio State comes through the door, or when Alabama comes through the door, it's about what does our program give to that kid. It's a very different message, because we already have the blueprint laid out. We are not telling you to come here and save the University of Alabama. We are not telling you to come here and save Ohio State. We are saying, come here, follow the plan, and get yours. And you're going to win while you're here. And it's stable. You're not going to be dealing with drama. You're going to be dealing with focusing on ball. That's the difference. Because Texas has a great pitch. You know, Texas can pitch Austin. I live here. It's an awesome city. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country. I can tell you a bunch of wonderful things. No matter what your personality is or what type of person you are, there's so much you can do. The proximity to other cities. It's an incredible place to live. It's incredible for young people. and you have that college slash city feel. You get a little bit of all these worlds. Austin is an amazing sell. The Longhorn Network, the access to exposure, ESPN, being on TV, going to a school that has their own TV network. Now it's not as big a deal as it was 10 years ago because we've moved and the world is changing. I'll get to the world is changing stuff because there's other things we have to consider. But the world's changing. We're going to streaming, social media. A lot of those dynamics have changed. But Longhorn Network is still something that you can pitch. Social media presence. We talk about, look at how we can build, and measure and metric how many followers you have. And when you're a Texas football player, the amount of followers you have and the amount of access that you can have to other people and communicate and really have a bigger platform than somebody else that goes to another lesser known school. Amazing opportunity there. Another thing you can sell. You can sell tradition. You can sell the brand, Bevo, the horns, the iconic burnt orange, all the wonderful pageantry that comes along with attending Texas and what it feels like in the atmosphere here. Name, image, likeness is the last one, or the next one and the last one I'll talk about. But leverage program, name, image, likeness is coming. No school we feel is in position to leverage something like that, no pun intended, than the University of Texas when that day comes and it's in full effect. We saw that with Quinn Ewers when I made the video initially of him signing, and we're all very, very happy and talking about, hey, is this a turning point for this program, especially heading into the 2020s and having finally we may have the same school president, Jay Hartzell, and the same AD and Chris Del Conte and the same head coach and Tom Herman, and actually be stable for once. And we're getting some rock stars coming in here. And man, did that feel good for a day. And then reality sets in. And you realize within that pitch that I just gave you that Texas is pitching, they can't pitch winning and they can't pitch development. They can work around it, but at the end of the day, when other schools come in there and they're competing against other programs about what kids care about right now, because the world is changing. If you're the number one player in the country, you're not going to commit to a school because you're a fan or you love their traditions. There's too much on the line for you. And some of you just don't understand this. There is too much on the line. You need to be smart and make a business decision. Kids are getting smarter about these things. Again, Texas will get theirs at a different level because of the first pitch I gave, but they will always struggle with the top tier guys. We already know this. Look at what Ohio State is building with Julian Fleming and Jackson Smith and Giba and Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields and what they have with J.K. Dobbins and what they have with Jeffrey Okudah. Those kids know them better than they know Vince Young, because those are kids that they played with recently. Those are kids that when they were coming up from middle school and going to varsity, those are kids that were in the state of Texas, that left here, went somewhere, followed the blueprint, and it worked. And they got theirs. If you want to go down to Alabama and name all the Alabama kids, same thing. The Vince Young stuff was 15 years ago. The Colt McCoy stuff was over a decade ago. You can't keep going to that well and pulling. It's what have you done for me lately? It is so much what have you done for me lately that going back to Quinn Ewers, when he's watching the games, what offense is he watching? Is he watching Mike Yurcich offense or is he watching Tom Herman's power spread offense? Because I guarantee you, I can't say guarantee because I don't know. I haven't had a conversation with anyone. This is just Steve's speculation. But I would be willing to assume that plays into his decision. How this offense is looking, how it's running. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't think Mike Yurcich is calling the plays. I don't see what any of the concepts he was doing at Oklahoma State or where he was working, even what some of the things that we see mimicked at Ohio State. Speaking of Ohio State, the Big Ten comes back. Ohio State gets to play play Nebraska. Justin Fields looks amazing. Who's Justin Fields throwing to? There's a young man here in Del Valley, here in Austin, Texas, Caleb Burton, #1 wide receiver in the 2022 class, who's trending hard to Ohio State right now. And we know that this is another factor, the relationships that kids have. Kids want to play with each other. They want to team up. And that's how the world is changing. And that's something that a lot of old heads, everybody's like, oh, we got to compete against this person. A lot of these kids, especially Texas kids, they want to team up. And they would like to team up at Texas, but they can't trust Texas to get them where they want to go. So let's go to Ohio State because we know that they ain't going to mess it up. If something happens at Ohio State, it's because of me. It's not because of Ohio State. It's proven. It's credibility there. And that's going back to the weight of the blame. Again, if you want to put it all on the coaching staff, fine, but weight it, right? Like the toxic nature and how we've operated, I understand the desperation to win. I've been pulling my hair out. I hate losing. But the nature in which we attack people, the way we've gotten so distracted, and we have so many conversations that have nothing to do with ball and nothing to do with progressing this program, I think it does have some impact. Again, maybe not here, but kids are watching. I mean, that's part of the world we're in now. Everybody's immersed and engaged. This isn't 20 years ago where you can go to somewhere and recruit somebody and they sign up and then they show up and they have no idea what they're getting into until they get there, other than what they see on TV or what they read in the paper. Now we're in a 24/7 glass house surveillance culture. So every moment is watched and monitored and prodded and picked. But it goes both ways because Quinn Ewers is a Texas fan. He's watching these games. He's like, yo, this is not the offense that I'm signing up for. And I can't put my future in jeopardy because I agree. Why should I leverage my whole future to try to save y'all when I should be making the best decision for me and what I need to do? Because I think some people are it doesn't matter what the school is. It matters what the school is giving to the kid. If the school is giving kids wins, all conferences, an opportunity to get to the league, an opportunity to get paid in the league. That's why a lot of these kids are fighting so hard to get paid while they're playing college football. But you want to over here have a conversation about tradition and Austin's cool, man. Stop it. Are we winning or not? Are you talking ball or not? Are you running the offense that you told me you were going to run when you came here or not? It's not deep. Now, Texas is still healthy in the quarterback room as of right now. You still have Sam Ehlinger here. You still have Casey Thompson here. You have Hudson Card here. You have Jaquindon Jackson here. You have Charles Wright. Now, the fallout that has happened in recruiting because Gamora asked Thanos, what did it cost you? Everything. Jalen Milroe, everything. Billy Bowman's decommitted. Now we're trying to hang on to Jatavian Sanders. Like, I've never seen recruiting as messy as it is right now. And that right there is indefensible when it comes to Tom Herman and the coaching staff, because they are responsible for recruiting. And for those of you, because we can't make this video without mentioning the elephant in the room, which is Urban Meyer. Since we all love saviors here at Texas and that's the way we want to go, well, that's the next savior if you're able to get him. And it sounds like things potentially could be in the works. I don't even see a fallback plan if you don't get Urban Meyer, by the way. Like, I think that's like all out pursuit of that person. And if you're Urban Meyer and you're seeing things going on, how do you not say the check's got to go up and try to bleed Texas out of cash and get every single penny, especially if you're going to come here and deal with this toxic nonsense if you're Urban Meyer. Now, I have no doubt that he would come here with the pedigree and you know, from an in-state recruiting perspective. And I hate talking about coaches stuff in the middle of the season, but this is a very strong reality now with how things are playing out. And I think things could actually move quicker now, which is crazy when you talk about recruiting and whatnot. But recruiting is now in shambles. You're 3-2 in the comp. You're not ranked, but you got Sun Belt teams ranked. And the Pac-12 is not even playing. So at this point, you know, could they go down a path of an in-season firing, especially if something, you know, bad happens in the win-loss column and we fall apart, Oklahoma State, and we keep taking L's, we lose to somebody like West Virginia. Yeah, I could see them saying, hey, Stan Drayton, go ahead and finish up the season, or Chris Ash, finish up the season, and we're going to get Urban Meyer in here. Half of y'all work for the man anyway. So I hate having that conversation, but it's the reality of the situation. It's the reality of the situation. And I'm a Texas fan. I'm in this fan base. Even a guy like LJ Johnson, the running back, who I thought we were going to be a shoe-in for before the season started. But when you look at another person in this state of Texas who's playing football right now, Texas A&M, they're rocking and rolling in their run game. If I'm LJ Johnson, like, they not only give the ball to their running backs, but they actually block. Their offensive line is gangbusters right now. And look how we're struggling to run the football. So that's going to be a problem. Recruiting is, and I hate to be doom and gloom in any of the videos I make, but you know, sometimes you have to understand the reality of the situation so you can try to get yourself out of it and have a practical outlook on how we should approach things. So, you know, whatever happens, you know, I don't know if it's a week to week thing now with Tom Herman, or what they'll decide or how they'll move with money. Again, we are in COVID, and the money is not what it typically would be under normal circumstances. So we have to have that measure of sanity there. But everything is a reason why things like Quinn Ewers happen tonight. It's not one thing. It's not one thing. Everything matters. Everything plays into it. Current players as well. They just haven't made the strides that they should make, even on their own volition. You have to, they carry weight here too. You know, some guys that get a little too comfortable at Texas, or get a little carried away with not focusing on ball. Everybody wears that. Now, this pressure will shift whether Tom Herman's here or not. It's going to shift to Chris Del Conte, because people are going to want him to deliver Urban Meyer. And that's just, again, the reality of the situation. I try to have a pretty decent gauge of the temperature of our fan base, and that's where we're at. The other young man, Jalen Gilbo, I mean, he's already talking about, you know, reevaluating his decisions. These kids want to play together. And those of you who do not understand, or maybe you're not around high school kids in 2020 in terms of how they think and their mindset, they move different than the kids of 2005. They move different than the kids of 1990. Okay? And you also have to think back to how you were as a kid, if you were to have all of the access that the kids of today have and being connected the way that they are. Because Caleb Burton lives here in Austin, and Quinn Ewers lives up in Dallas, and they're like, yo, we want to play ball together. I'm not saying that's guaranteed reality, but like that, the way that the kids communicate is different. And all of that factors in. So while we're focused on all these other things and selling all these other things, you know how people are recruiting against Texas? Do you want to win? Do you want to go to the league? Because, you know, other than that, they may have a cooler locker room video board over their locker. But we got 3 people drafted in the first round last year. Skims on the wall. You tell me. Oh, and by the way, some of those brothers actually came from the same district you played in high school. So you tell me. So I mean, this is the reality of the situation. Um, I don't know what, you know, when I say I don't know, I mean the again, Urban Meyer, if you go down that well, and I don't personally like the guy. That's why it's hard for me to talk about it. But I do know he recruits Texas as well as he recruits everywhere. And that's where we're headed. If we get the money right and get that stuff taken care of, then Chris Del Conte delivers. That's where we're headed. I think this is it for Tom. I don't know how you get, I mean, unless he even winning at this point, because this stuff happened in a week that we won. And maybe there was too much, it was too little too late. I don't know. But again, this is immediate reaction. I'm rambling at this point, so I'll sign off here. But curious to hear everybody's perspective. I know it's going to be a lot of burning down in the comment section, but we're here to get through it together. And let's stay together as fans and not, somebody has a different opinion of you. When somebody has a different opinion of me or one of my views or whatever, I listen. If it's nonsense, let it go. Roll off your back. So appreciate y'all. It's late. I'm going to go ahead and upload this thing and we're going to get out of here and we'll talk later this week. But I appreciate y'all. And we're going to keep them horns up as always. Horns always up. Love y'all.